In this episode of Beyond Brilliance, we meet JK, a seasoned leader in e-commerce. The conversation delves into JK's leadership philosophy, emphasizing radical candor, servant leadership, and the importance of fostering a culture of innovation. JK shares his structured method to decision making, balancing autonomy with engagement, and the significance of addressing burnout in high pressure environments. He also discusses maintaining an inclusive organizational culture as the company grows, highlighting the need for clear values, open communication, and empowering employees to champion inclusivity.
My primary focus as a servant leader is to put my team's well-being first. I want to make sure they feel supported personally and professionally, and they have the resources they need to succeed without feeling overburdened. I call myself as being vocally self-critical as a leader. I show a lot of vulnerability, humility, accountability, and commitment to growth. And it strengthens the trust with my organization and fosters a culture of continuous improvement. Let me bring this all together. For me, culture, systems, people, and process aren't separate. They work in unison to create a powerful innovation engine. Without the right culture, people won't feel empowered. Without the right systems, ideas won't gain traction. Without the right processes, innovation becomes chaotic rather than strategic. I focus on aligning these four elements to ensure that innovation isn't just an occasional breakthrough. It's a continuous cycle that drives long-lasting success.
Welcome to Beyond Brilliance. I'm your host, Jay. This is where extraordinary journeys begin. Each episode, we sit down with remarkable guests who have pushed their limits and reached incredible heights. We explore the real stories behind their success, the challenges they have faced, and wisdom they've gained along the way. Whether you're looking to level up your career, or pursue passion, or simply find inspiration for your next step, you'll find practical insights and honest conversations here. Beyond Brilliance is not about perfection. It's all about progress, possibility, and the brilliance that lives in all of us. A little bit about myself. I am Jay. I've had the privilege of helping organizations in banking, fintech, biotech, software services companies to unlock the full potential of their data. My expertise lies in developing data strategies, leading high performance teams, and driving transformation through AI, machine learning, and advanced analytics. Currently, I lead data initiatives at a global life sciences organization where I focus on optimizing their commercial organization. My work includes refining go-to-market strategies, enhancing sales operations, improving marketing campaigns, and driving growth through data-driven decision-making. Now, let me hand it over to my co-host Rahul to introduce himself. Rahul?
Hey everyone, my name is Rahul Mohan. I am a senior consulting leader with several years of experience guiding large organizations through complex HR transformation programs. I worked alongside HR and tech leaders across a variety of industries, helping them shape the strategy to driving large-scale transformations. Beyond my consulting work, I'm also deeply passionate about empowering people beyond the boardroom. I serve as a CFO for an organization that's dedicated to promoting grassroots sports and helping low-income families. I'm excited to bring the same spirit of transformation and empowerment to this podcast. So without much ado, let's jump into the show. Our guest for today is a senior executive in the e-commerce space, focused on AI-powered products and engineering. Karthikeyan Janakiraman, JK, we call him JK. JK, thanks for joining us today. Let's start with a little bit about yourself for our audience in your own words.
Thank you, Rahul, and thank you, Jay. It's a pleasure of mine to talk to you both today. Folks, I'm Karthikeyan Janakiraman. I go by JK. I've been very fortunate in my career to lead several large Fortune 500 organizations, helping shape their technology and data landscapes to set them up for lasting success. With a background in finance and a master's in computer science, I spent my first decade on technical roles where I worked on developing large-scale distributed platforms, data platforms, as well as driving outcomes through usage of AI and ML. Over the past decade, I've led product and technology transformations for major e-commerce companies. In my current role now, I head the large product and engineering organization responsible for making AI-enabled business applications that power our B2B, B2C, and retail operations. I'm a natural builder, passionate about designing and scaling technology platforms while driving teams to perform at their best. I also take pride in mentoring future leaders and passionately advocating for strong, sustainable culture, the true heart and soul of any successful business.
Thank you, JK. Let's jump into our first segment for today and talk about leadership. JK, tell us about your approach to leadership and how you would describe your leadership philosophy.
My leadership style is a blend of several approaches, including visionary thinking, enabling transformation, and adapting to the needs of the moment. I believe in practicing radical candor, providing honest and constructive feedback, while always striving to be a servant leader. Putting the needs of my team first to empower them for success. This approach has evolved over time due to the nature of the organizations I worked at. I will take this time to explain how I put each of these together and then make it into action. When I speak to visionary leadership, I focus on long term success of my team and my organization by painting a compelling picture of future and rallying everybody around that vision. My leadership approach involves anticipating industry trends, identifying opportunities for innovation, and ensuring our collective efforts align with the broader purpose. I inspire my team by connecting their daily work to the greatest mission that we have, fostering a sense of purpose and commitment. Let me give you an example. I use most of my time to create strategic roadmaps that not only aligns the team's effort with company's growth, but also breaks down the vision into actionable milestones. By clearly articulating how each team member contributes to the big picture, I ensure alignment, motivation, and a shared sense of ownership. I continuously refine the roadmap based on market shifts and team feedback, keeping us agile while staying true to our long term goals. In terms of transformation, how I inspire team to lead through this. Core to my culture is innovation, and I strongly encourage my team to push beyond the perceived limits by fostering a culture of continuous growth, adaptability, and bold thinking. My approach centers on a compelling vision that changes the conventional ways of operating while instilling confidence in my team to take ownership of ambitious goals. I lead by example, demonstrate willingness to embrace change, take calculated risks, and challenge the status quo. I create an environment where individuals feel empowered to experiment, voice new ideas, and develop their potential. By providing the right mix of support, trust, and accountability, I enable my team to evolve into high performing, forward thinking professionals. Some examples in this space would be every time a disruptive strategy comes into place, when I want to bring that back to work, I just don't dictate that change to the team. I guide my team through that. I provide them a clear rationale for the shift, ensuring alignment with our overarching goals, and then empower them to experiment with approaches. I remove roadblocks by securing necessary tools, resources, and executive buy in while fostering a fail fast, learn fast mentality. Through coaching, recognition, and continuous feedback, I build their confidence and capability to execute at a high level, transforming the challenges into opportunities for growth. Another style of my leadership that I often use, which is common amongst almost all leaders in this world, balancing dynamism and situational awareness. Let me break that down a little bit. I excel in a very fast-paced environment, ever-changing environment by embracing dynamic leadership, where I continuously reassess strategies, pivot when necessary, ensure my team remains aligned with shifting priorities. Rather than being rigidly attached to a plan, I focus on agility, identifying challenges early, allocating or reallocating resource, resources effectively, and keeping my team focused on the most impactful objectives. My ability to navigate uncertainty allows me to turn disruption into opportunities for innovation and growth. At the same time, I do employ situational leadership, tailoring my approach based on the unique needs, skill sets, and confidence levels of my team members. I recognize that leadership is not a one size fits all. A new employee may require a lot more hands on and a structured direction, while a seasoned professional might thrive on autonomy and trust. By adapting my leadership style to individual strength and development areas, I foster an environment where team members feel encouraged, supported, challenged, as well as empowered to excel. The next part of my leadership style is radical candor. This is my favorite part, balancing honesty with empathy. I believe in fostering a culture of radical candor where open communication that is honest, which is paired with genuine care for team, is pivotal to their success. This means providing direct, constructive feedback without hesitation while ensuring that it is delivered in a way that supports rather than discourages growth. I challenge my team to innovate and improve by addressing key issues head on, avoiding passive aggressiveness and eliminating unnecessary sugarcoating. Yet, I do so with the intent of helping them succeed, not tearing them down. I establish a foundation of trust by making it very clear that my feedback comes from a place of investment in their development rather than criticism for its own sake. I also encourage two-way dialogue, allowing my team members to express concern, ask questions, contribute to their perspectives. This creates a work environment where people feel safe to take risks, learn from mistakes, and continuously improve. Give an example. Let's say we have a team underperforming team member. I don't ignore the issue or offer vague reassurances. Instead, I address it directly in a very clear, solution oriented conversation, acknowledging the gap in performance, outlining what clearly is the expectation, and providing them actionable guidance for improvement. I ensure they understand my intent is not to criticize them, but to help them get better. I offer support, mentorship, and necessary resources while holding them accountable for their progress. This approach fosters both professional growth and a culture of continuous improvement within the team. The last style that I often employ in my leadership is being a servant leader. In short, I call it as empowering others to succeed. My leadership philosophy is rooted in servant leadership, where the primary role is to support, uplift, and enable my team rather than just directing them. I prioritize their well being, growth, and success, ensuring that they have the resources, opportunities, and environment needed to thrive. Rather than leading from a position of authority, I act as a mentor, advocate, facilitator, focusing on what my team needs to excel both professionally and personally. I'm an active listener. I remove barriers that hinder progress and champion their development through mentorship and tailored growth opportunities. By fostering a culture where employees feel valued, heard, and empowered, I often build high performing teams that is motivated, engaged, and deeply invested in our collective success. I'll go into a little bit of an example here. My team encounters an obstacle where operational inefficiency, skills gap, or organization red tape, or often called as bureaucracy, takes over. I take proactive approaches to eliminate these roadblocks, ensure they have what they need to succeed. This may involve securing additional funding, often challenging some thoughts, and often breaking down doors, advocating for policy changes, and investing in training programs to enhance their skill. Also, create an open, psychological safe workplace where team members feel comfortable sharing ideas, seeking help, and taking ownership of their work without fear of failure. By focusing on their success, I not only drive individual growth, but also long term organization excellence. If I were to summarize whatever I said into simple framework, I call myself as being vocally self critical as a leader. I show a lot of vulnerability, humility, accountability, and commitment to growth. It strengthens the trust with my organization and fosters a culture of continuous improvement. This is how it aligns to my leadership. My reflection helps me inspire my team by modeling a growth mindset and encouraging them to be challenging their own limits. I openly acknowledge when a strategy is not working and pivot as needed, demonstrating adaptability and situational awareness. Just as I give honest feedback to people, I hold myself to the same standard. Showing self improvement is an organization wide expectation. And lastly, by admitting mistakes openly, I remove hierarchical barriers, making it easier for my organization to communicate openly and take ownership of their work.
JK, thank you so much. That was such a detailed answer about your leadership philosophy. Thank you for putting so much thought into that and sharing that with our audience. Let's move on to your decision making principles. Can you tell us about what are your core principles that guide your decision making as a leader?
That's a great question, Rahul. In short, I would say it is structured yet flexible. I balance control, delegation, and risk. But let me get into details about this particular area. My decision-making approach often is a blend of structure and adaptability, ensuring that I maintain control over mission-critical choices while at the same time empowering my team to operate autonomously. I categorize decisions based on impact, risk level, reversibility, allowing me to optimize decision speed without compromising long-term success. This structured yet flexible approach ensures efficiency, fosters team growth, and mitigates unnecessary risk. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on each of these things. To me, if I were to break down decision making, right at the top is table stake decisions. These are the decisions that I take personally. These are foundational decisions that shape the integrity, culture, and core operations of a business or a team. They require my direct involvement because they have long term implications that define our identity and success. I'll give you some examples: hiring key leadership roles, defining company values, or establishing non negotiable quality standards. Why are these important? These choices directly influence an organization's future and must align with my vision to ensure consistency in culture and direction. The next set of decisions are what I call as operational decisions, which is typically based on runbooks, which is created by past success. Operation decisions benefit from systematization and repeatability. I document best practices, create runbooks, very structured playbooks of prior success and failures to ensure efficiency reduce guesswork, and enable my team to execute independently. An example would be developing standard operating procedures for onboarding new employees, customer service workflows, or IT incident response. Why is this needed? Clear documentation minimizes errors, accelerates execution, and ensures scalability, while allowing my team to handle operations with consistency and confidence. This third set of decisions often are called as tactical decisions. My style is to delegate as much as possible. Tactical decisions are often short term, execution focused, best handled by my team with predefined parameters. I delegate these decisions to empower my team, develop their leadership skill, and free myself for higher level strategic thinking. Some examples: assigning project management responsibilities, running campaigns, or handling resource allocation for a special initiative. Why does this help? This helps improve and empower my team to operate with autonomy, speed up execution, and reduces unnecessary bottlenecks, making the entire organization more agile and responsive. The last structure I would like to bring into decision making is those strategic decisions. These are what I call as one-way door and two-way door decisions. I categorize the decision making into reversibility, which helps me balance the speed with caution and most importantly, avoid analysis paralysis. What are one-way door decisions? These are irreversible. These decisions have long-term consequences and require thorough analysis. Good example, a merger or an acquisition that you're trying to make, exiting a particular market, or a major company-wide rebranding. These choices cannot be undone easily, so they demand careful evaluation and stakeholder alignment. Two-way door decisions, they are often reversible. These decisions are low risk, allow fast experimentation with minimal downsides. Testing a new product feature is a good example, or adjusting a pricing model, or pivoting to a new marketing channel. This framework of one-way door versus two-way door encourages innovation while minimizing risks, allowing us to iterate quickly without major repercussions. I make often one-way door decisions while my team makes two-way decisions. The last set of factors that influence decision making. This is not in my playbook of barriers of decision making. The last set of factors are: how do I balance risk versus obstacles? I distinguish between genuine blockers, which makes an initiative unfeasible, and navigable challenges, which require strategic problem solving. Instead of shying away from difficult problems, I assess the effort to reward ratio and make calculated risks when justified. Example: a new market which has regulatory hurdles. I evaluate the cost, the complexity of the compliance against the long term potential rather than dismissing the opportunity outright. This approach ensures that I don't fear of challenge that prevents our growth, enabling me to make bold but well informed decisions that drive progress. Let me bring it all together. Optimizing speed without compromising critical choice is the right term I would like to bring. By structuring these decisions into these categories, I ensure that critical and high impactful choices are thoughtfully and strategically made. Operational and practical decisions are streamlined for speed and execution and efficiency. Strategic flexibility allows for rapid innovation while minimizing unnecessary risks. This decision making model balances control with delegation, allowing me to focus on high value leadership priorities while ensuring my team operates autonomously and effectively.
JK, that was an amazing rundown of a decision making playbook. Absolutely fantastic information for our listeners. You spoke a little bit about autonomy in that. Can you talk to us about how do you balance being hands on versus giving your team autonomy?
Um, it's a great question. My leadership approach often strikes balance between being deeply engaged and empowering my team to operate independently. That's how you find semblance in autonomy. Let me go into the details. I step in when necessary to provide clarity, resolve challenges, reinforce expectations, but I avoid unnecessary interference that could stifle ownership and growth. I have three terms that I often use. These are operating principles of the company that I work for. And I've also seen these kind of principles with many other companies successfully. Some of them are operating at depth, building and earning trust, and keeping things simple. Let me explain those further. Operating at depth. I don't lead from a distance. I dive deep into key areas when necessary, ensuring I have first-hand insights into the challenges before making a decision or providing guidance. However, I'm extremely careful to avoid micromanagement. Instead, using my deep dives as diagnostic opportunities rather than permanent presence in daily execution. Example: if my team struggles with execution, I don't assume the problem is lack of effort. I step in to analyze root cause. Is there a process inefficiency? Is there lack of clarity in objectives? Is it a skill gap? Once I diagnose the problem, I implement necessary adjustments, whether that means refining workflows, improving communication, or investment in skill development before stepping back. Why is this approach useful? This approach is useful because it lends credibility, shows that I'm engaged, and prevents blind decision making. It also assures my team that I understand their challenges firsthand and make my guidance more relevant and actionable. The second part of autonomy is building and earning trust. Trust is the foundation of effective delegation. Invest time in building strong relationships, demonstrating that I have my team's best interest at heart. This allows me to confidently step back, knowing they will execute with accountability and ownership. For this would be I would provide clear guidance and expectation, ensuring my team understands why behind what they do. Once aligned, I step back, let them take ownership of execution, and reinforcing that I trust their judgment and abilities. Instead of hovering, I offer support when needed while empowering them to lead their own work streams. Why is this important? Trust creates a culture of accountability and high performance without the need for constant oversight. When employees feel trusted, they become more proactive, engaged, and committed to delivering results. The last aspect of autonomy is keeping it simple. I believe in cutting through complexity to create a work environment that prioritizes clarity, efficiency, and agility. Instead of burdening my team with rigid processes or excessive bureaucracy, I design very lightweight frameworks that enable flexibility while maintaining alignment. Another example for this would be instead of forcing rigid workflows, I introduce simple, adaptable structures that guide execution without becoming bottlenecks. For instance, rather than excessive approval layers, I establish clear decision making parameters, ensuring my team knows they can act independently versus when they need my input. Why is this useful? This is useful because it reduces confusion, accelerates execution, and empowers the team to operate with autonomy. When things are clear, people move faster, make better decisions, and stay focused on impact rather than process inefficiencies. What is the outcome of all of this? I call this all this as engage leadership without overreach. By combining depth, trust, and simplicity, I ensure I step in when I need to step in, that it adds value, and it addresses challenge firsthand without micromanaging. My team knows and operates with confidence and accountability, knowing I trust them to execute effectively. Processes are very clear and streamlined, enabling speed and efficiency rather than slowing things down. This ensures that I'm engaged when it matters the most, while enabling my team to thrive independently, driving both high performance and long term team development.
JK, thank you so much for such detailed responses on your leadership style and approach. That takes us to our second segment, and I'm going to pass it over to Jay to talk about innovation.
Thanks, Rahul. I was spellbound listening to the playbooks of leadership and decision making. Amazing playbooks, and I would highly encourage our viewers to rewatch this episode because it's gotten a lot of great information to not only just listen but also implement in their own work lives. This segment is all about innovation. JK, you worked in many organizations where innovation is not a word, but it is how you guys operate. And I would love to know how you foster innovation within your organization. And if you can give me some detailed ingredients that go in, that'll be awesome for our viewers to take home.
Thanks for the question, Jay. Innovation is at the core of everything I do. I've been fortunate to build my career in organizations where innovation isn't just a buzzword, it's just the way of their life. Through my experience, I've learned that true innovation doesn't happen by chance. It requires the right combination of culture, systems, people, and processes. When these four elements come together, they create an environment where breakthrough ideas can thrive. I'm going to go deep into all these four ideas. How do you build an innovation driven culture? For me, innovation starts with culture. If an organization doesn't encourage bold thinking, curiosity, calculated risk taking, even the most talented individuals will often struggle to drive meaningful change. I actively create an environment where the team feels safe to experiment, challenge assumptions, push boundaries without fear of failure. How do I do this? I foster psychological safety, ensuring the new ideas are welcome and failure is seen as part of learning process. I recognize and reward creative problem solving, not just successful leadership outcomes or successful project outcomes. I ensure that innovation is embedded in our values and leadership philosophy. So it's not just a one time initiative, but a continuous practice. Let me break this down and give you an example. Let's say one of my team member proposes a bold idea. I encourage them to test it in a small, low risk environment. In every organization that I've worked with, I brought the process of demo days, which is once a quarter for 2 days straight, Team members are freed up during their time to work on anything they like. It could be related to a business outcome, could be exploring a new technology, could be solving a long-standing operations problem that was never prioritized. If it shows promise, we scale it. This approach ensures that innovation isn't just talked, but actively put into action. Second framework, establishing systems that enable innovation. I believe even the best idea needs the right system and time to take shape. Without a structured way to capture, develop, and implement innovations, ideas remain theoretical rather than being actionable. That's why I ensure that the organizations I work with have a mechanism in place that supports innovation at scale. How do I do this? I always advocate for investments in research and development, collaboration tools, and innovation hubs to provide structured spaces for experimentation. I establish clear channel for employees to propose, develop new ideas, whether through innovation sprints, hackathons, cross-functional product projects. Lastly, I also ensure data and insights are often used to refine and iterate on ideas quickly, making innovation measurable and result-driven. Some examples of this would be when I lead my product development, I push for rapid prototyping and A/B testing, allowing us to validate concepts before committing extensive amount of resources. This ensures we innovate with purpose and efficiency. One of the things that I've noticed in this space particularly is we are now close to about 100 experiments per day at the place where I work. When I started 7 years before, we could barely do two or three. So innovation gets us to a place where it becomes a way of work. The third aspect for innovation is empowering the right people. This is something I learned. I've learned that innovation isn't just ideas, it's also about people who bring these ideas to life. That's why I focus on hiring, developing, and empowering talent that thrives in a fast moving, creative environment. I surround myself with people who are naturally curious, adaptable, unafraid to challenge status quo. How do I do this? I hire for mindset, not just for skill set. Bringing in people who think differently and aren't afraid to experiment. I invest in mentorship and continuous learning, ensuring my team has the tools and confidence to innovate. I give people ownership, allowing them to take risks, drive initiatives without unnecessary approval layers. Give you an example. When launching a new initiative, I don't micromanage. Instead, I set clear expectation, provide the necessary resources, and step back, giving my team the autonomy to innovate and execute. The last aspect of innovation is how do you structure innovation without stifling it? That is, how do you get out of the way, in simple terms? While creativity is essential, I found innovation also needs structure to turn into ideas and scalable outcomes. Without a process to guide execution, the best ideas often get lost in discussion. However, I make sure the process remains lightweight, flexible, so that it enhances rather than hindering creativity. How do I do this? It's the famous buzzword in technology field, agile frameworks that allow teams to test and iterate quickly and based on real world feedback. Ensure the decision making process is very fast and streamlined so innovation doesn't get bogged down by bureaucracy. Bureaucracy kills innovation. And clearly defining the metrics that is going to measure success of innovation while focusing on impact rather than just activity. So teams know what success looks like. An example for this would be a new business strategy. I don't wait for perfection. I push for launch fast, learn fast approach, allowing us to adjust and improve rather than over analyzing upfront. We often term it as MLP, most loved product, instead of most valuable product. So that mindset allows us to innovate faster. Let me bring this all together. For me, culture, systems, people, and process aren't separate. They work in unison to create a powerful innovation engine. Without the right culture, people won't feel empowered. Without the right systems, ideas won't gain traction. Without the right processes, innovation becomes chaotic rather than strategic. I focus on aligning these four elements to ensure that innovation isn't just an occasional breakthrough, it's a continuous cycle that drives long lasting success. Lastly, innovation doesn't happen in isolation. It's a result of deliberate action, an environment that nurtures creativity, and a team that is empowered to think beyond limits. That's the kind of ecosystem I build wherever I lead.
Great answer, JK. I love the fact that you folded in the right culture, the right empowerment, the right systems, and the right process in place enables innovation. That's the perfect recipe for creating innovative products, creating innovative teams, and excelling at what you do. I would love to dig deeper into understanding the processes you've implemented. Innovation is all about new ideas, right? How do you evaluate and prioritize new ideas? It's so difficult to know upfront whether this is going to be the next game changer for us. So how do you prioritize, or how do you evaluate new ideas?
Bit about prioritization before I go deep into how do I do that, right? Effective prioritization is essential for driving success. Over the years, I have developed a structured framework to evaluate and prioritize ideas, ensuring that initiatives we pursue align with our immediate needs and long-term vision. My approach, again, here focuses on four key aspects that allow me to make data-driven strategic decisions, right? The first one would be aligning long-term and short-term organization goals. The first step is ensuring that every idea or initiative supports our strategic objectives, both in near and distant future. I assess how each idea aligns with the big picture of the goals of our organization, considering whether it accelerates our long-term growth or addresses an immediate business need. What this means for short-term goals, I focus on initiatives that solve pressing problems or drive quick wins that can boost momentum. For long term, I prioritize ideas that lay foundation for sustained growth or help position us as industry leaders. The second aspect to this process is evaluating external trends and the impact of the market. In today's fast moving business environment, given that we are in e commerce and retail, external trends can dramatically shift priorities. I make sure to evaluate the broader landscape, understanding which industry trends, technology advancement, or societal change might influence our business. This insight helps ensure that we are not just reacting to our internal needs, but we are also positioning ourselves to leverage opportunities outside the organization. What does this mean? I stay tuned to market shifts, emerging technologies, and competitive movements, and incorporate them into the knowledge in our evaluation process. For example, if there is a regulatory change or a consumer behavior shift, I assess whether our ideas can be adapted to capitalize on these changes. The third aspect to prioritization is identifying the size of the problem. Here, I'm going to give you a metaphorical scale, often used very widely successful scale. Not every problem is created equally. So I categorize problems based on the size and aim to solve it through that. My categorization or my metaphorical categorization scale would be to distinguish between high impact issues and smaller ones with this rubric. What if is it a boulder? What is a boulder? A high impact, urgent, or a strategic opportunity or problems that could significantly affect the business. Is it a rock? Important, but not urgent problems that need to be solved for long term, but success are not immediate. Pebbles, smaller challenges that can be tackled with minimal resources, but still have some impact. Sand, low priority, often tactical problems that don't move the needle much. And water, minor issues that doesn't require my attention or effort at all. Now imagine a big glass container. It can fit two, three boulders, can fit few rocks, it can fit some pebbles, sand, and water. If you put it all together, that's kind of how you think about prioritization. The last aspect to prioritization is resource availability and capacity. Finally, I evaluate the resources at my disposal, considering both human and financial capital. It's essential to assess the total capacity of the team to ensure that we can effectively execute on any idea without overloading our existing commitments. If there is a new initiative that requires more resources than what we have, it could stall progress on other important tasks. What does this mean? I carefully balance our resources that are available. Resources in this example are time, talent, and budget with the scope of the idea. If resources are limited, I prioritize ideas that have highest return on investment relative to the resource demands, ensuring we can deliver quality results without compromising existing work. The last aspect of this, when you have these four items of the rubric, how does this all come together? This is through collaboration. Once I gather all the relevant information, the process becomes a collaborative effort. I list down all the ideas, evaluate them through discussions with my key stakeholders, leaders from different departments, subject matter experts, and frontline employees who often can give you unique perspectives. This allows us to negotiate and find the best possible outcome for the organization, whether it's driving growth, improving efficiency, or solving a critical problem.
Thank you so much, JK. This is great. And I really enjoyed the analogy of boulder, rock, pebble, sand, and water. It fits so well in terms of assessing the size of the problem and also finding solutions and the right approach that fits that particular problem. And without further ado, I want to go to the next segment of the episode where we talk about organizational culture. Rahul's there to take over this session.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay. Yeah, JK, absolutely inspirational stuff around innovation. I really look forward to taking some of those nuggets and implementing them at my work. And I know our listeners will feel the same way. Let's dive into our final segment of the show. It's one of my personal favorites. It's organizational culture. JK, you've been a tech leader for several years. How do you address burnout and promote well being within high pressure tech environments?
My entire experience in my career has been in high pressure environments. Addressing burnout and promoting well being in a high pressure environment is a priority for me because I was one of those developers back in the days. So I approached this challenge through a combination of empathy, strategic thinking, and active engagement, ensuring my team remains focused, motivated, productive, healthy, even during the toughest times. And trust me, I've faced enough tough times through this journey. Creating a clear purpose. For me, it starts from creating a purpose. Burnout often stems from lack of clarity or connection to the bigger picture. When I provide my team with a clear sense of purpose and help them understand how their work contributes to the larger mission, it helps them stay focused and motivated. In high pressure situations, I often remind them that challenges they face are temporary and part of the journey. How do I apply this? I reinforce long term vision regularly so that my team stays connected to the organization's big picture. I help them see how their work is making a meaningful impact, which mitigates stress and boosts morale. The second aspect to this is empowering growth and resilience. I believe that the growth mindset can be a powerful antidote to burnout. In high pressure situations, I focus on empowering my team to stretch their abilities and view challenges as opportunities to grow. I recognize their efforts and provide necessary tools to support them and to keep them motivated. I often apply this by encouraging my team to see pressure as an opportunity for personal and professional growth, framing challenges as chance to develop resilience. I make sure to celebrate small wins and recognize their contributions, which helps largely reduce feelings of burnout and maintains high level of motivation. The third aspect to this is fostering open communication, which is often the most critical aspect. I believe that honest, open communication is key in preventing burnout. As much as I encourage high performance, I also want my team to feel comfortable speaking up when they feel overwhelmed or under stress. With radical candor, I ensure that feedback is both constructive and compassionate. How do I apply this? I make sure I check in with the team regularly to gauge how they're feeling, whether they need support, or if they're facing challenges that could lead to burnout. I remain transparent with them. I'm honest about the pressures we face, offering actionable solutions to help alleviate their stress whenever and wherever possible. Whether it works or not is situational. It works to a large extent. The next aspect to this concept is prioritizing team well being. My primary focus as a servant leader is to put my team's well being first. I want to make sure they feel supported personally and professionally, and they have the resources they need to succeed without feeling overburdened. I applied this by actively removing the obstacles that contribute to stress, whether it's streamlining process or providing additional resources to lighten their workload. I make sure that well-being is a priority, offering flexible work schedules and supporting mental health resources so my team feels they have the tools to cope with the stress. The next aspect to this particular problem is adapting to individual needs. Often, many of these are personal and individual. Not everyone handles pressure the same way, and as a dynamic leader, I adapt my approach based on each person's individual need. I assess their stress level, skill, and workload, adjusting my leadership style accordingly. This flexibility ensures that no one is overwhelmed and everyone has the support they need to thrive. The next aspect to this is how do I adjust my style to provide support? Often in high pressure environments, it's important for me to know when to be more hands on and when to step back and give freedom for my team to execute. By adapting my leadership based on the situation, I can help manage stress and maintain focus. When I see people struggling, I provide clear direction and support them, helping them prioritize tasks and workload. And for others who are managing pressure effectively, I step back and allow them to make ownership and empower them to find own solutions while remaining available for any assistance if they need. The next aspect to this is balancing hands-on leadership and team autonomy. I'm tying all of these back to my leadership principles because they are deeply connected. I often found that balancing hands-on approach with granting autonomy is the key to preventing burnout. By staying engaged when necessary but trusting my team to take ownership of their work, I create a space where they feel empowered, not micromanaged. I often provide guidance when needed, but I also trust my team to take ownership of their tasks. This autonomy allows them to manage their responsibility without the feeling of being overwhelmed. I step in to recognize issues when necessary, offer support when required, ensuring I don't disrupt their independence, but they always know I'm there. The last aspect for managing this situation is promoting well being in high pressure situations. I often encourage downtime. I make sure I remind people the importance of rest. PTOs are great tools, vacations are great tools. Regular breaks and time off are essential for maintaining energy levels and avoiding burnouts. We also have to recognize and celebrate progress. I focus on recognizing achievements, even small ones, to ensure that my team feels a sense of accomplishment amidst the challenge they face. Lastly, create an environment where they have support. I foster a safe space for them to share freely, discuss their challenges, and ensure that they know their well being is a priority. My last thought about this particular area is often leading with empathy and strategy is the right combination for success.
JK, that was Zen like. Your org is really lucky to have you. Thank you so much. JK, inclusivity and respect for individuals, it's a core value that's very close to my heart. How do you ensure that your culture remains inclusive at your organization as your organization grows?
That's a fantastic question. The question is the most asked question in my organization is also this. And I've developed a framework for this, and I'll go through them. Ensuring that culture remains inclusive as your organization grows requires you to be proactive and intentional with your approach. As any organization expands, it's easy for the culture to become diluted or skewed. By focusing on key principles and strategies, I can maintain a strong, inclusive culture that grows alongside the business. Here's my approach. I define and communicate the core values of inclusivity. What are they? Inclusivity starts with a very defined core value that everyone in the organization can align with. I make sure inclusivity isn't just a buzzword, but a deeply embedded value in the way we operate. These values should be communicated consistently and reinforced through action, leadership, and decisions. How do I apply this in my day to day? I clearly define what is inclusivity as part of core organization values, ensuring that diversity and belonging are central to the way we operate. Regularly communicate these values through all levels of the organization, from onboarding new hires to regular all hands meeting. The next step that I do is lead by examples. You have to set the tone from the top. As a leader, I know my actions set the tone for the rest of the organization. To ensure that inclusivity remains ingrained in the culture, I have to lead by example and demonstrate inclusive behavior in everything I do. From active listening to people's ideas and to championing diverse perspectives, my behavior serves as a model for others. Active listening is critical. Inclusive leadership is reflected in my actions for advocating through diverse hiring practices and ensuring equal opportunities for advancement. Communication, critical aspect. Fostering open and transparent communication is pivotal to ensuring we create an inclusive environment where people can feel safe, voice their opinions, ask questions, share concerns. I encourage transparency and open communication, ensuring every individual feels comfortable contributing and they know that their voice matters. The next aspect is building a very diverse team and diverse leadership team. Inclusivity is often reinforced when an organization team and leadership reflects a broad range of perspectives. I focus on diverse hiring practice, ensuring that we build teams that represent different backgrounds, experience, viewpoints. This diversity strengthens creativity and decision making. Often work with our HR business partners and leadership to ensure our diversity goals are integrated into our hiring practices. I mentor and sponsor underrepresented talent within the organization, providing them the opportunity for leadership roles and career advancement to ensure diversity at all levels. The next aspect to this is promoting a sense of belonging. Inclusivity isn't just about diversity, it's also ensuring that everyone feels that they belong here. I emphasize the importance of creating an environment where everybody feels accepted and valued, regardless of their background. This sense of belonging often leads to great employee engagement and retention and great results. I make sure my team members feel seen, heard, valued for who they are, ensuring everyone has access to opportunities. We celebrate cultural events, recognize important observances, and provide platforms for people to share their unique perspectives and experience. The last step to this journey is empowering employees to be the inclusivity champions. I recognize that inclusivity is a collective responsibility. To help embed inclusivity deeper in the organization, I encourage employees to become inclusivity champions and take ownership of promoting these values within the organization. I often support initiatives that come from grassroots efforts, ensuring the whole organization is involved in creating a very inclusive culture. If I were to bring it all of this together, culture is a continuous journey. Ensuring that we remain true to our culture, which is inclusive as the organization grows, is an ongoing process. It requires intentional leadership, continuous effort, and active engagement from everyone in the organization. By prioritizing inclusivity in our values, leadership, process, and action, I ensure our culture remains strong, one that allows everybody to thrive, regardless of their background, identity, or perspective.
That was amazing, JK. I think I have a lot of take home notes from all different aspects that we talked about in this episode. We talked about leadership, we talked about innovation, we talked about organizational culture. In every segment, you would have seen structured thinking and key takeaways with actionable frameworks provided by JK, who's one of those seasoned leaders who's led teams to great innovation. This was very enlightening for me, and there's a lot of takeaways that I am personally resonating with and also taking home to implement in my workplace. Thank you so much, JK, for your time today. This was amazing.
Jay and Rahul, it's been an honor to be part of the show. Thank you for your time and for hosting such a great conversation. My heartfelt thanks to all the listeners for tuning in and taking the time to learn from my experience. I truly appreciate all of this. Thank you so much.